So about 2 weeks ago, I made a video talking about how I believed that Outrider was going to be the next specialist character in Black Ops 4, explaining why, how it worked with the backstory, and as it turns out, I was 100% correct. Outrider is the next specialist character, and she is coming to Black Ops 4 tomorrow. But don't worry, I have gameplay today. Yes, I was lucky enough to have Activision fly me down to Treyarch and play the DLC or Season 3, whatever you want to call it, early. So today I'm going to have gameplay of Outrider, the brand new Blackout map, and the 2 new multiplayer maps. So there's going to be 3 different videos coming out today, and each one of them is going to be showcasing something new that is coming out in Season 3. However, in the first video today, this video, we are going to be looking at the new specialist character Outrider, who is of course returning from Black Ops 3, and what her 2 abilities are, which are Sparrow, similar to what it was in Black Ops 3, and something new called the Hawk. And like I said, once we get to that, I'll explain it, exactly how it works, and everything like that. Now, on top of these 3 videos that are coming out today at about 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I am going to be doing a live stream over on Twitch. It'll be the first link down in the description. I'll be doing an open lobby playing with you guys, but I'm also going to be doing essentially a big, long Q&A. You can basically come in and ask me anything about the new season. For example, what are the new weapons? How do they play? What are the new maps like? What's the new specialist character like? What's the new Blackout map like? So if you have any questions at all revolving around the new Season 3 of Black Ops 4, maybe even the weapons update that we talked about on Saturday, tonight's the night that you are going to be able to ask me pretty much anything. And like I said, that's over on Twitch. It'll be the first link down in the description, and I will see you there later tonight. Now, talking about Outrider. Outrider is the new specialist character. She is awesome, and she's definitely going to bring back some nostalgia from Black Ops 3. So to start things out, let's talk about what you are looking at here. This is the brand new look of Outrider. And as far as like most of her skins that you're gonna see, this is what you're looking at. Instead of having a hood up all the time like she did in Black Ops 3, it's more of like a baseball cap kind of thing. However, there is one skin coming out, I'm not sure when, that we got to see, that is gonna kind of make her look a little bit more like you saw in Battery's comic that we looked at in previous videos. But like I said, not sure when those are coming out. Now, as far as the weapon she is using here, this is of course the Sparrow. It is a very, very similar to what we saw in Black Ops 3. One main difference, as we're going to see once we use it in game, is that it actually has a scope, which is kind of an improvement over the Sparrow from Black Ops 3. So actually, let's start there. Let's start with the Sparrow. So this is her specialist weapon, the L1 and R1 ability. It's what takes the longest to charge up by quite a large amount. So as far as Sparrow goes, like I said, as you can see here, you can actually kind of scope in, if you will. There's a little bit of a scope. It makes it a little bit easier to aim this thing. But this is the first time I ever used the Sparrow in this clip you're watching here. And the thing I didn't realize at this point is how quickly you can actually fire this thing. So this is me just kind of shooting it slow. However, in a later clip where I use this, I find out that you can actually shoot this thing really, really quickly. So I actually recommend using this in a different way than I normally recommend using specialist weapons. Normally it's just point and shoot at someone, kill them. However, really the bread and butter of the Sparrow is the actual explosion itself, not necessarily the arrow. So where you actually want to shoot this thing is at choke points. As you can see, here's a couple of clips of me dying here, and it's not actually the arrow that kills me, it's the explosion of the arrow behind me. So anytime there's a long hallway, a doorway that people are funneling through, that's where you want to shoot that Sparrow at. That is how you're going to get kills, from the explosion, not necessarily from the arrow. Speaking of which, how good do I think this ability is? It's okay. It's not nearly as good as something like the Tempest or the Purifier. However, it is a lot of fun to use, and there's a higher skill gap with it. The better your aim, the smarter of a player you are, the better you're actually going to do with this weapon. Also, the other cool thing about the Sparrow is you get a total of 10 arrows, which means there's a very high potential to get a lot of kills. So I'm really looking forward to actually getting my hands on this and seeing what people can do with it when I'm not just playing a bunch of sweaty YouTubers at Treyarch. So I definitely think it's a good addition to the game. It just might not be as good as some of the other specialist weapons, but maybe with a little bit of practice and a little bit more hands-on time with it, maybe it will be. We'll have to wait and see. The second ability, in my opinion, is one of the cooler things that they've added into the game, and it is, of course, the Hawk drone. Now, you've probably seen throughout the gameplay you've been looking at so far some red squares basically wall hack on some enemy players, and you may be wondering how exactly that works. So your R1 ability is the Hawk Drone. Essentially, it is a little drone that you can fly up into the air and park it somewhere. Now, when you park it somewhere, it will then tag enemy players that are in its view. So whenever there's an enemy player within the view of the Hawk Drone, they appear on your screen with a little red square around them. Even if they go behind walls, even if they do any of that, the Hawk Drone will see them and they will pop up on your screen. So essentially, it's like a little mini wall hack that only works in the view of the little drone. Now, it is kind of easy to counter the Hawk Drone as it's flying up in the air and all you got to do is shoot it to get rid of it. And on top of that, if an enemy player is using the Hawk Drone and it tags you, it makes a really loud beeping noise, which makes it easy for you to tell if you're tagged or not.
Beacon is offline. Assault pack's down. Come get it.
So as long as you pay attention to it and get used to where people fly this thing, it's pretty easy to counter, like I said. That being said, this ability is really strong in objective game modes. If you're trying to take a B flag, if you're trying to capture a point in control, and you fly the drone up there, you can literally see exactly where your enemies are coming from. So that way you're able to pick them off easily, capture that objective, and move on. Another game mode where this is really good is free-for-all. And this one's kind of simple. If you're able to see exactly where your enemies are coming from, it makes free-for-all a lot easier to play. Now, a couple of cool little tips I got for you guys with the Hawk Drone is, first of all, if you're wondering how long it actually lasts, if you actually look at the camera when you're flying it around, you can actually see a little timer or a bar down in the bottom right-hand corner. That indicates how much time you have left in the Hawk Drone. The second tip I have for you is that once you actually place it in a room and leave it there, and it's kind of giving you some overwatch, you can actually go back into the camera and look at what's going on in that room, and you don't even have to be there. Or you can move the drone around to a different spot in that room if you want. It's not just a place it and leave it kind of thing. You can go back into it if you want. Now, the last thing I kind of wanted to talk about in this were my thoughts on Outrider, what I think of the Sparrow, the Hawk Drone, and whether or not Outrider has a place in Black Ops 4. And it's pretty simple. I think this is a great addition to the game. I think much better than Zero in the previous season. I think Outrider fits in really well. First of all, I think the Sparrow itself isn't overpowered. It's not ridiculous. People aren't going to get really frustrated by it simply because it's a little bit more difficult to use. So the people that are going to do really well with it are the good players, the players that are going to be killing you anyway. So that's a good thing. I think that's a good weapon to add it. Now, as far as the Hawk Drone goes, I think people are going to get relatively frustrated with it at first because it's going to feel like you're always getting spotted, always getting seen. But I think after a little while, after a bunch of people switch to maybe using Engineer and be able to see the Hawk Drone in the air, a lot of people will be shooting this thing down, and I think it'll get to the point where using the Hawk Drone's almost a deficit, because whenever you fly it up into the air, someone's going to shoot it, destroy it, and in turn get some score for it, and it will help them on their score streak. So I think everything in here is relatively balanced, but we'll have to wait and see. Sometimes people find exploits for these kind of things, for something like the Hawk Drone or the Sparrow, so it will only be a matter of time before we see how overpowered this class or this character actually is. But as far as right now, I think she fits in pretty damn good with the game. Now, one other piece of information before the end of the video. If you remember way back at the beginning of Black Ops 4, there was an Easter egg found on the map Frequency. This Easter egg showed us that there were 3 blurred out specialist characters on the screens on this map. One of them was for Zero, one of them was for Outrider, and the last one was for Spectre. Spectre is the last character on these screens that has yet to be added into the game. So my question for you is, does this mean that the next specialist character that they add to Black Ops 4, assumably in Season 4, is it going to be Spectre? If you ask me, it is certainly looking like it. It is looking like the next specialist character will be Spectre, but really, only time will tell. Until then, you'll have to let me know what you think of Outrider down in the comments below. Also, if you're new to the channel and like what you see here and want to stay up to date on all of my videos, the best way to do so is make sure you hit that subscribe button and make sure you have notifications on, because later today, we've got 2 other amazing videos coming. First of all, the new map in Blackout. We are looking at the whole thing, everything that's new on the map. And the second one is I'm going to go in depth, talk about the new weapons and the new maps in Black Ops 4 that are coming out tomorrow. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, guys, peace out.
We are reaching for the stars, but we're making this too hard.